Trade unions and civil rights leaders continue to demonstrate in Los Angeles to demand the departure of immigration and customs enforcement agents from the city. 4 out of 12 activists and crew members of the humanitarian ship Madleen have been deported by Israeli regime after being illegally kidnapped in international waters. In the United Kingdom, delegations from China and the United States hold second day of trade negotiations with the aim of reaching an agreement on exports of strategic goods. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. President Donald Trump's order barring citizens of 12 countries from entering the United States went into effect immediately after midnight on Monday. With the ban in place for Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen, the Trump administration hopes to restrict immigration. The ban does not apply to football players qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, which the United States co-hosts, nor for athletes participating in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk warned that the breadth of the new travel ban raises concerns from the perspective of international law. Democratic lawmakers also called the veto an unconstitutional measure. And trade union and civil rights leaders in the United States continue to demonstrate Monday in the city of Los Angeles to demand the departure of immigration and customs enforcement agents and the National Guard from the city. Protesters gathered outside the city's Metropolitan Detention Center, chanting "Stop the deportations, free them all," and National Guard out of LA. They also reportedly chanted shame at the row of law enforcement officers dressed in riot gear standing in front of the building. Other protesters held signs with messages like "ICE out of LA," as well as waving flags from Mexico and other nations. Demonstrations are part of the rejection to Trump's repressive and xenophobic policies carried out during the past month in the context of an increasingly criminalizing speech against migrants. And the unions that joined the New York protest not only demonstrated in support of the situation in Los Angeles, but also demanded the release of David Huerta, president of the California Service Employees International Union. Huerta was reportedly arrested on Friday in front of a local business and was charged with conspiring to obstruct an officer demonstration against the raids. This Monday, after spending 4 days in detention, Huerta was released on $50,000 bail and left the detention center accompanied by a human chain of activists. And in the United States, police detained 24 people demonstrating in the lobby of Trump Tower against immigration raids in New York. A spokesman for the New York Police Department reported the situation, alleging that the protesters entered the building at noon and refused to vacate the premises. The activists also condemned the recent restrictions on entry to the country imposed by the president on citizens from 19 countries, supporting the same cause. Demonstrators, unions, and community groups in the Big Apple called for a protest demanding an end to the Trump administration's intense actions against the country's diverse communities. A Mexican President, Claudia Sheinbaum, condemned the acts of violence perpetrated by the immigration authorities in Los Angeles in the United States. There were also protests in Mexico in rejection of the raids against migrant workers. Antonio Aranda with the details.
Grupos promigrantes se manifestaron afuera de la embajada de Estados Unidos.
Pro-migrant groups demonstrated outside the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City against the raids to detain migrant workers that took place over the weekend in Los Angeles, California. The demonstrators expressed their rejection of the violent act that took place in Los Angeles and demanded that the Donald Trump administration stop the abuses against the migrant community in the United States.
We condemn the violence, and from here we call on all of our brothers who have the right to demonstrate, because they are builders in that country, to do so firmly but peacefully. Do not fall into provocations. Rubber bullets, sound grenades, tear gas are provocations. I advise that they demonstrate firmly but peacefully.
Los grupos promigrantes expresaron que
From migrant groups expressed that they will continue to denounce the abuse by the U.S. government against the undocumented working community.
Un acto simbólico también de repudio a
A symbolic act of repudiation of these actions and a statement where we are requesting an immediate halt to raids and deportations in the United States.
y deportaciones en los Estados Unidos.
La presidenta Claudia Sheinbaum expresó durante su conferencia.
President Claudia Sheinbaum expressed during her morning conference on Monday her rejection of violent acts and asked Mexicans not to fall into provocations.
No estamos de acuerdo con las acciones violentas.
We do not agree with violent actions as a form of protest. The burning of patrol cars seems to be more an act of provocation than resistance. It must be clear. We condemn violence wherever it comes from. We call on the Mexican community to act peacefully and not to fall into provocations.
Y no caer en provocaciones.
Y agregó que su gobierno está comprometido
And added that the government is committed to the defense of Mexicans in the United States.
El gobierno de México reitera su compromiso inquebrantable.
The government of Mexico reiterates its unwavering commitment to the protection and defense of the human rights of Mexicans abroad, regardless of their migration status. In this sense, we make a respectful but firm call to the U.S. authorities to ensure that all migration procedures are carried out in accordance with due process, in a framework of respect for human dignity and the rule of law.
A la dignidad humana y al Estado de Derecho.
El canciller de México confirmó que hay 42.
Mexico's foreign minister confirmed that 42 Mexicans have been detained in raids in Los Angeles.
El censo que tenemos actualizado.
The census we have updated is of 42 nationals who are detained in these 4 centers, 37 men and 5 women. And we are also already in the individual case-by-case analysis to see what are the subsequent steps.
Los pasos subsecuentes.
El gobierno de México expresó
The Mexican government expressed its intention to maintain an open dialogue with U.S. immigration agencies, but without accepting conditions of subordination.
Antonio Aranda, TeleSUR, Ciudad de México.
In Argentina, opposition political parties, together with social movements and trade union centers, are on alert for the possible arrest of former President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner. During a public act on Monday, Cristina Fernández suggested her possible arrest was directly linked to her nomination to October's legislative election, which poses a threat to the government. This takes place amidst rumors that the Supreme Court of Justice would confirm a 6-year prison sentence for public works fraud, disqualifying her for life from holding public office. Former president called on the people to organize themselves and continue protesting on the streets against Milei's policies of austerity and hunger.
Peronism must be alert. They must pay attention to what is happening, because in the end this will also end in a great crisis. There is no possibility of a happy outcome for this. Do they really believe that they will solve this by putting me in jail? Come on, jail me. And then what? Are people going to earn more money? Are they going to increase the Argentine people's salaries?
We have a short break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. I'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, Gaza health authorities registered 32 civilians killed in the latest Israeli attacks against the Strip. Palestinian authorities reported 4 paramedics killed while doing humanitarian work in the Tufar neighborhood of Gaza City. Authorities added that 20 of Tuesday's victims were looking for food at a so-called food distribution center near the Netzarim corridor. During the attack, Israeli soldiers approached the supply center run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and opened fire, seriously injuring at least 120 people. And at least 19 civilians were wounded by Israeli occupation forces in the occupied West Bank city of Nablus on Tuesday after they stormed the city. According to witnesses, 4 people, including a 17-year-old, were taken to hospital with contusions caused by blows from Israeli soldiers. The director of the Red Crescent Ambulance and Emergency Center in Nablus, Amit Ahmed, said that emergency teams had treated 15 cases of asphyxiation due to tear gas inhalation. Local media also reported Zionist troops raided several houses and stores, causing destruction and looting in their wake. And since the escalation of the aggression on the Gaza Strip in October 2023, Israel has killed more than 16,000 students. In its most recent report, the Ministry of Education revealed that nearly 26,000 students have been wounded by bombardments from the occupying forces. It states that over 900 teachers and educational workers have been killed, over 4,000 wounded, and almost 200 detained by Israeli troops. It also states that Israeli aggression has affected more than 400 schools, some of which are run by the United Nations. And 4 out of the 12 activists and crew members of the humanitarian ship Madleen have been deported by the Israeli regime after being illegally kidnapped in international waters. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which launched the ship's mission, confirmed on Tuesday the deportation of activists Greta Thunberg, Baptiste Andre, Omar Freid, and Sergio Toribio, while informing that 8 remaining crew members are still detained. The volunteers were given the option of consenting to deportation or remain in detention to face a tribunal. In this context, the coalition encouraged some of the activists to agree to expedited return to advocate for the release of their fellow participants. The Madleen crew members' detention has been condemned as illegal, and another Zionist attempt to block the entry of humanitarian aid to the Palestinian enclave.
Give me the phone.
And activist Greta Thunberg arrived in Paris after being deported from Israel following her kidnapping from international waters as part of the Gaza-bound Freedom Flotilla. These were her first statements upon arrival.
On international waters, we were illegally attacked and kidnapped by Israel and taken against our will to Israel, where we were detained. And then some of us deported, some are still there. There are very big uncertainties because it was quite chaotic and uncertain, so I don't really know what's going on. I haven't had a phone for many days. They were absolutely nothing compared to what people are going through in Palestine, especially Gaza right now. And this is yet another international a violation of international rights, adding to the list of countless of such, especially towards Palestinians, that Israel are committing by blocking and preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza. That is illegal.
On the other hand, in Chile, more than 620 lawyers filed a third legal action before the International Criminal Court after the Israeli attack on the humanitarian Freedom Flotilla. The actions promoted by the former Chilean ambassador to Iraq, West Bank and Egypt, Nelson Haddad, directed against Benjamin Netanyahu, and the former Israeli Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, were also presented before the International Court of the Sea. In this declaration, the request to the international community for an immediate help for their nationals kidnapped was also pointed out. The document states that Israel's objective is to prevent the demographic growth of the Palestinian people, to eliminate an entire ethnic group, and to take over their land. Over 1,000 activists have led the caravan Steadfastness, which departed Monday from Tunisia and entered Libya's border on its way to the Gaza Strip. 12 buses and 100 private cars made up their relief convoy that has been warmly welcomed by thousands in Gapes, Ben Gordon, and FACT cities. The spokesperson of such delegation, Nabil Chenoufi, underscored they were meant to break the Israeli siege on the Palestinian enclave. The leader advanced they were planning to cross into Libya and Egypt by Thursday before reaching Rafah city, close to Gaza. Such humanitarian action occurred after the Israeli regime detained 12 foreign activists who were part of the British aid ship bound for Gaza.
We received a very warm and cheerful welcome here, which is truly encouraging for us from our free Tunisian brothers. God willing, the Maghreb region will unite as one to break the blockade imposed on Gaza. The organizing committee has reassured participants that facilities will be provided at the main gathering point in Cairo and on the way to Rafah. We will try to reach the closest point, perhaps El Arish or the Rafah border crossing. The main thing, which I repeat to our people and to the free people of the world, is to send a strong message. This people is still alive, and in 1948, people left on foot during the Nakba.
We have our second break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final break, don't go away. Welcome back. The United Kingdom delegations from China and the United States held second day of trade negotiations in London with the aim of reaching an agreement on exports of strategic goods such as rare earths. The meetings held at the prestigious Lancaster House follow a preliminary agreement reached by representatives of the two countries in Geneva, Switzerland last month. The talks also come at a sensitive time for both economies, with Chinese exports to the United States falling 34% in May, the biggest drop since February 2020. The U.S. delegation includes the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Chinese counterpart is led by Vice Premier Haley Fan. We go now to Central America to learn more about the network of barrier reef reserves in Belize. Let's see more of this unique natural system.
El lugar posee la barrera de coral más grande del hemisferio.
The site has the largest barrier reef in the northern hemisphere and includes hundreds of sand keys, mangrove forests, coastal lagoons, and estuaries. It is home to several endangered species such as turtles, manatees, and marine crocodiles of the Americas. There are 7 networks that concentrate the different stages of evolution of the reef.
Algunas condiciones que afectaban a la zona como la
Some conditions affecting the area, such as offshore oil extraction, development of unsustainable construction projects, and the destruction of marine ecosystems and mangroves, were some of the reasons why in 2009 it was added to the list of World Heritage Endangered, a space that meets the objective of informing the international community of warring situations that may be threatening some of the characteristics that allow the inscription of the space in the list of World Heritage of UNESCO.
Dadas las acciones tomadas por el gobierno de Belice,
Given the actions taken by the government of Belize, among such as the indefinite postponement of oil exploration and drilling, regulations to protect the mangroves, as well as the elimination of disposable plastic that affects marine ecosystems, among others, in 2018, after a meeting of the World Heritage Committee that took place in the Middle Eastern country of Bahrain, the decision was taken to remove it from the list of World Heritage in danger.
Con las distintas medidas, el gobierno del país centroamericano
With these different measures, the government of the Central American country showed its commitment to protect and safeguard the integrity of the reef, which have been a World Heritage Site declared by UNESCO since 1996.
Russian authorities have announced that they are working to secure the release of Russian servicemen being held in Ukraine. The head of the Russian delegation, Vladimir Brzezinski, said that the return of soldiers from captivity to Russia had begun following the agreements reached in Istanbul, and that all efforts will be made to return them as soon as possible. He also announced that the first group of Russian servicemen under 25 years of age had been returned from Kiev, and that an equivalent number of Ukrainian prisoners had been handed over in exchange. The Russian government announced that it would hand over the bodies of 6,000 Ukrainian servicemen who had been killed. However, the Ukrainian side did not show up at the agreed location. Also in Russia, the award ceremony of the 7th International Contest Tell the World About Your Homeland was held in Moscow. The event was promoted by the Innovative Center for Child and Youth Development and Education to foster cultural understanding among teenagers from diverse nations. This year, more than 60 participants from Russia and 21 foreign countries made it to the finals. The contest evaluation criteria covered depth of content, quality of presentations, and use of language. Among the outstanding participants were Silvia Fatima from Ecuador, who presented figures from Ecuadorian folklore, and Nikolai Ivanovsky from Russia, who showed a video about a monument that pays tribute to motherhood as a universal value. An exhibition was inaugurated at the Natural History Museum of China in Beijing, celebrating the multifaceted talent of Leonardo da Vinci. This exhibition, entitled Harmony of Time and Space, unveiling the artistic science and natural rhythms of Leonardo da Vinci, presents 190 pieces, including authentic works, manuscripts, designs, and digitally restored masterpieces such as The Smooth Monkey and The Last Supper. The exhibition, which runs through October 20th, offers a comprehensive overview of Leonardo da Vinci's innovative ideas that impacted art, science, and technology. This will have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.